know what giant you're looking right now, but just let him lead you on. No, it looks hard. No, it looks hard. No, it's uncomfortable, but you can trust him. Just let him lead you on. I didn't know where else to go. I tried so many other options, but I'm left with him, really walking by faith now. I'm really walking by faith. If he said it, he will do it. If he said it, he will do it. If he said it, he will do it. Yes, if he said it, he will do it. He's not a man that he should lie. He's not a man that he should lie. Oh, if he said it, he will do it. I'm really walking by faith now. Really walking by faith now.
Hello, you're all very welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I will be your moderator today. We are just waiting for our guests to join, and then we start. Coach Pam, please confirm if Dr. Patricia Mulgami is online.
Don't worry, she said she's logging in before 6:30 so we can start.
All right. Thank you very much. So I can see we are 42, and I'm sure the number is going to continue growing. Yesterday we were 100, and most of the people were all were using YouTube, and I'm sure even today we'll have a YouTube link. My name is Shirley Jera. I'm an East African. I think yesterday our speaker, Caroline Ndaula, told us that every time, wherever she went, she would always think of East Africa. She never thought of Uganda. So I'm East African of Ugandan origin. I'm a natural practitioner, and I'm also an alumni of the Crafting Your Power program. I'm really glad to be working with you today, and I'm very sure we are going to learn a lot. Let us open our talk today with a prayer, and then we can continue. Let us humble ourselves for a word of prayer. God, our Heavenly Father, we want to thank you so much for today. We want to thank you for all we are going to learn. As you guide us, as you open our minds, be God in every way. We pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. You can write in the chat. Amen. This will be a very interactive session. Yes, we may not be able to unmute our mics and speak, but you can be able to type in the chat. And for your questions, please put them in the Q&A. We will be able to pick them, and they will be answered. I saw when I was looking at the list of participants, we had a good number of people who attended yesterday. Maybe I will just kindly request you to type in the chat one takeaway. What was your one takeaway from yesterday's presentations? Yesterday we were looking at the financial, we looked at the financial wellness, and we also looked at the occupational wellness. We were honored to have Mrs. Emma Mujisha as our speaker, who took us through the financial wellness. And then we also had Mrs. Caroline Ndaula, who took us through the occupation wellness. So if I could at least have a few people typing in the chat, what their key takeaways were yesterday. Then we can be able to know at least that people are following. The 3 days we are dedicating to learning, it will really indicate that we are peaking. Okay, so I'm waiting for you. I'm checking in the chat to see what is there. Yes, Rachel, financial wellness, look at your strength, look for the things that you can do that can translate into money and go in boldly and make money. That was Rachel's takeaway yesterday. And I think I will underline going boldly and make money. Yeah, I think at the end, we all agreed that there's no room for sleeping.
Is there a way that Inde can disable the chat or enable the chat? I don't know why, but Daisy, we have been able to read your message. So how are you disabled?
Or somebody, Daisy is saying the chat is disabled?
Yes. So you use the Q&A. Use the Q&A.
Okay, sorry, it's technology. This is we are using yesterday we were using the meeting like the meeting platform for Zoom, but today we are using the webinar platform. So I think maybe there could be a few things, but please, you could either type in the Q&A or in the chat, whichever you're able to use. Let's get our learnings for yesterday, please. Okay, Lucy, you're welcome. On occupation wellness, I was challenged to dare to reinvent myself and know the seasons. Very good. Very good. That was Lucy's takeaway for yesterday. And we have, can we have others typing in the chat? Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, Daisy is saying the 8 spheres of wellness, the importance of constant reevaluating oneself to see if one is still aligned with one's vision. Yes, I think Carol really re-emphasized that. She kept going back to her when she was 8 years old, what she wanted and seeing whether she was still aligned. And anytime she found herself moving away, she would know that it is her time to move. Thank you so much, Daisy, for sharing. Okay, Rachel is saying occupation wellness, vision is key. Always have a vision of what you want to achieve from your job so that you can have clarity. Very true. I can see somebody has raised their hand. In case it's okay, please type in the chat. You could either use the chat or you could use the Q&A, whichever you find convenient. You're all very welcome. Our number is growing. Please tell your friends, you know, the best way to move. If you want to move far is to move with your friends. So please check and see if your friends are not yet here, let them know that we've started. You don't want them to miss today. Today we'll be covering, we'll be looking at spiritual wellness, which will be looking at purpose, and then we'll also be looking at the social and emotional wellness. Very two critical areas, spheres in your life that you need to be very well conversant with. Okay, Rebecca Cunha is saying that one of the things that came to her yesterday were the streams of income. I actually just got to know recently that the 7 streams of income are in the Bible. So that's really interesting. So we need, yes, to have many streams of income. And I think Caroline told us the reason why she was able to take a sabbatical after her many years of working and decided to take 1 year is because she had the different streams of income that are able to sustain her. Ronald, thank you so much for joining. You're here yesterday. He says, my take was never make a move without a plan. Very good. Never make a move without a plan. Daisy, I can say I can. Yes, I can. The chat has been enabled. Thanks. Okay. And Nelly is saying the only constant thing in life is change. Yes, that was also very well emphasized yesterday. So I can see people are all paying attention, and it would be very, very good for those of you who have not attended this program to be able to sign up and take the 10-week program. Pam, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 10 weeks. So that you can be able to benefit and get even in-depth knowledge about this program. Yes, Daisy, it could be possible that maybe it's only us who are seeing the charts. I think Ine will advise on that. Rita Katusaba is sharing, and she's saying that a vision you must have a vision, be consistent, be intentional, and flexible to change. That was her key takeaway. We are sharing on what we learned yesterday. We had 2 incredible ladies that presented to us, and they looked at the 2 spheres, 2 very key spheres of this particular program, but also of life. That is the financial wellness and the occupational wellness. We had Mrs. Emma Mugisha and Mrs. Caroline Ndaula. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Rachel, for that correction. Yes, the course is 6 weeks. Yes, thank you. And Rachel has shared the link where you can register to be able to take it. I think I was confusing it with ELSA, which was 10 weeks. Okay. All right, so Rachel has also put in the chat, sharing the announcement for the Crafting Your Own Power program, which will be starting on the 9th of August. And if you think what you're currently learning is interesting, please sign up. You will be thrilled, but at the end of the day, it will also definitely change your life. I think Caroline shared that after this course, she decided to go and do a training, go and do a course on climate change or something in climate, which she's now actually also implementing in her home. I think she found that she was doing previously she had all this knowledge, but she was not even implementing it in her own home. But she has now changed her strategy, and she has completely changed how she's doing certain things, like simple things like ensuring that you sort out your garbage. I mean, what can you're not putting everything together, but now you have that can decompose, the other one that can go to the garbage collectors. Okay, Harriet is sharing. Harriet, thank you so much. I saw you yesterday. I learned that it's never too late. Okay, that's just moved so fast. Let me just see if I can see Harriet. Yes, Harriet is saying, I learned that it's never too late to have a new vision of your life. Do it afraid. Changing careers, changing career in your 40s or 50s is actually possible. Yes, very true. Very true. Thank you. You're all very, very welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to spend these 3 hours with us today. And in a few minutes, we should be having our first speaker so that we can actually start. We were sharing, for those of you who were here yesterday, we've been sharing in the chat our key takeaways. What did you learn? And Anya is sharing that from Emma, I learned that consistency is key when planning and investing for the future, because compound interest is the 9th wonder of the world. Compound interest. I think yesterday I understood compound interest better. When you leave your interest in where you've invested it, so that now it also becomes part of your principal, and now you're making interest on interest. You're making more money on your money. Yeah, so yes, it's true. It's really a wonder. So for those who have understood it, they are making money. Anne is also saying that from Caroline, I learned the value of retrospection, authenticity, and being true to oneself and their own inner convictions. Yes, I think if we said here that somebody can resign from World Bank, very few people would say, wow, that can't happen. But yes, we had it from Caroline yesterday. I had forgotten to mention, this is Harriet. Harriet is saying that I had forgotten to mention about the unconventional ways of generating secondary income. Maybe for the interest of those who are not here yesterday, Harriet, maybe you can mention what are some of these secondary ways in which people can generate money that were talked about yesterday. And I think yesterday we were also told that in every stream, yes, there might be risk, but some are less risky than others. I remember somebody yesterday asked a question and said, okay, if I invest in treasury bonds and governments change, what happens? If we have an expert in that field, please do advise what happens when governments change. That was a good question. I think I don't think we picked it up. It was answered yesterday. Okay, so Harriet is talking about the secondary streams in which we can generate money, and these were the treasury bills, bonds, unit trusts, code rooms for market ladies. Okay. All right, Anne is also saying that from Emma yesterday, she learned that making money requires focusing on our time, talent, passion. Oh, okay, sorry, focusing on our talent, passion, and money accessible to us, as well as thinking outside the box. Okay. Someone spoke about person. Okay, like bridal showers. Yes, I think yes. Yesterday we had someone who wrote in the chat, and she speaks at bridal showers. Yes, she makes money like that. She also plants trees. She had like 3 sources of money, or areas where she generates money. Christine is saying, I learned to be bold with occupation decisions. Yes. I think if there's one thing that Caroline taught us was to be bold. All right, so you're all very welcome. Today we'll be looking at the spiritual wellness and the social and emotional wellness. Our speakers, we have Dr. Patricia Mulgami, and we'll also be having Miss Pamela, Coach Pamela Babirukamo. You're all very welcome. Wow. Dr. Patricia, nice to see you.
You too. Let me just adjust the light here so that we can see each other nicely. Thank you very much for having me.
We're extremely, extremely thrilled
Thank you.
To have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we are now ready to start. We are now ready to start. We have all our speakers are in the house. And during COVID, I listened to I think I attended a webinar that was organized by Dr. Patricia Mulgami. And one of the things that she said everyone else can be playing small. It doesn't need to be you. So it was a very profound statement. So thank you so much. And today we don't really need, I think, again, to look at what we studied yesterday. It's very clear that people are paying attention from the chat and from the Q&A, what people are sharing, their different takeaways. It's clear that they understood that it's very important for them to understand the financial wellness and also have the very clear understanding of the occupational wellness. And if you think that you really got information yesterday, please sign up for the program. That was just a tip on the iceberg. If you do sign up for the program, you will actually be better and be able to reinvent yourself. All right, so now we'll be inviting our speaker, Patricia, who is here with us. And she's going to be taking us through the social and emotional wellness. Dr. Patricia has a very long profile, and I will try to summarize it. Dr. Patricia Mulgami is a powerhouse a global speaker, executive leadership educator, a catalyst, and she's on a mission to revolutionize executive leadership worldwide. As the driving force behind breakthrough leadership, transformation, and visionary behind the digital leadership school, RISE School, Dr. Pat, as many people call her, has owned BESCO leadership, African leadership program for global impact. She has had a career that spans in more than 2 decades. She has trained thousands of C-suite leaders, graced prestigious stages as a speaker. She holds a doctorate in business administration and transformation leadership and governance from the International School of Management in Paris. She has also studied executive education from Harvard School, Business School, Watson, and Cranfield University. She has been awarded. She has so many awards. Some of these awards include 50 most influential women in Kenya, top 50 most impactful female leaders award by ABCD, The Guardian in Nigeria, which also honored her for her influential use of voice and digital content as a tool of change. Inspired Award from the World Women Organization, the first African woman to receive the recognition in 2022. That was the Inspired Award. And then top 25 most powerful women in C-suite impacting business, that was in 2021. Top 3 most influential podcasts in Kenya, Your Next Best Self podcast, the National Diversity and Inclusion Business Executive Champion Award, which she got in 2019. Top 40, under 40 women by Business Daily, that she got in 2010. Dr. Pat stands as an icon figure, a trailblazer, an inspiration for those seeking transformative leadership. With proven track record, she's poised to elevate and inspire audiences on a global scale. I'm extremely honored that I even have to read that. Over to you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you so much, Shirley. I've been listening to you moderating the recap of yesterday. Thank you very much for doing that with such excellence. I want to say thank you to Evolving Woman, and very especially to Pam, Coach Pam, my friend. And, you know, I say iron sharpens iron. That's the way it's said, isn't it? And I find I learn a lot from Pam. She learns a lot from me. Those are divine connections. I also want to say well done to the entire team behind this series of free webinars. What a gift. What a gift. So I see we're 77 of us, and I know many others will be watching on YouTube. And I really hope that this time that I'll have with you, I'm dialing in from Nairobi, Kenya. It is winter here, but I'm looking forward to coming to Uganda later on in the year. But we'll talk about that later, and how the whole idea of purpose is so important that if I was to be asked and to be given $1 for every time I have been asked, how did you find out your purpose? How do I find my purpose? I would have retired and invested in those multiple streams of income that you were speaking about yesterday. But I think that the journey of finding purpose, and I'll share a little bit about my own experience. I have a couple of slides that I want to start off with. And I just want to encourage us that it's not so much about not having found your purpose, but what I really want to do is to encourage you to see that meaning is already there. Your purpose is already there. The challenge sometimes is to see the purpose. Yeah. So Shirley, you can confirm to me that you can see my slides?
Yes, Doctor, we can see your slides. Thank you.
Great. So I'm talking about spiritual wellness and purpose. and gaining meaning by discerning purpose. I love to read Viktor Frankl's ideas. And if you know about Viktor Frankl, he survived the Nazi camps. And if you can look for his books, one of the things I'm constantly doing, and I encourage us to do as Africans and as leaders across the world, is to read and to read wisely. So Viktor Frankl says life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Can you imagine? Maybe someone here is having a very rough time. What makes it even harder is the fact that you can't see what is the meaning of all this. But the minute you can start to attach meaning to something, it changes everything. So I want to encourage us, no matter what our circumstances, let's see whether we can find the meaning of what is going on. I don't know about you, but I don't know where you're at. Are you, as you think about it today, are you in the comfort zone, fear zone? Are you in the learning zone or the growth zone? Now, many times you may be in comfort zone because you don't feel you're learning, fear zone because so much is going on. If we think about what's going on in the world, in our respective countries, in our families, in our workspaces, there's quite a bit of fear. But I want us to move out of comfort and fear zone to the learning zone. And today, I want to encourage you to be fully present. Fully present. I know in a digital world, it's very easy to be navigating multiple screens. But one of the things I found out in my own journey of finding purpose and helping others find purpose is that it's important to starve your distractions and feed your focus. And the goal is to actually move towards learning more about yourself, why you're put in this world, and why everything you're doing is important. And this is precisely why Pamela, together with Evolving Woman, have come up with Crafting Your Own Power, a program that I encourage all of you to really make an effort to join. 6 weeks that will transform your life as you think about multiple angles of your power. Dare I say that your power comes from your purpose? But I also want to say that your purpose comes from your pain. So when you think about learning, I'm going to ask you to start delving a little deep into spaces that maybe you'd prefer not to pay attention to. And that's what will move you to the growth zone. And once you see your purpose, you move from growth zone as you use your purpose to a genius zone, which is where you're using your purpose to multiply the effect, not only of you, but your divine assignment. So Viktor Frankl says, everything can be taken from a man or woman, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's way, to choose your circumstances, to choose your attitude, no matter what circumstances you have. And I think this is very connected to purpose. And that is why he's celebrated, because they stripped everything off him. His family, his friends, everything. But somehow he refused for them to take away his attitude, which I know, reading his books, was anchored in purpose. So what's this whole idea about purpose? As we think about Viktor Frankl, I want us to now think about how can you start to find your purpose and create meaning. I'm only with you for about 60 minutes. I encourage you, if you want to delve much deeper, to find out the spark, to find out how to really live that purpose, sign up for this Craft Your Own Power program. Because in doing so, you'll not only learn purpose, but you'll learn other aspects of well-being that will help you live your purpose and live your life more meaningfully. So a little bit of a story about how I got to where I am. When you think about purpose, sometimes we think that it came, you're born with it and you saw it, abracadabra. Let me stop sharing for a minute to share my story. And what I realized is that when you share your story, sometimes it really makes a big difference for other people, right? And I started my career as in the space of audit. And as I started my career in the audit space, I kept asking myself, there must be more I can do. There must be something. I kept feeling an itch. But actually my itch was connected to the fact that I saw a lot of women and men losing their voice. And I don't mean losing your voice, you're whispering, but losing your voice in the sense that you can't speak up, you can't contribute your ideas, you can't contribute what it is that you need to do. And because of that, I kept feeling there must be something I can do. I was a wedding planner. I did weddings. I love Ugandan weddings. I think they're so pompous and they have so much color and life in them. And couples would come back and ask them, how did the wedding go? How's the honeymoon? And they're like, don't even talk about it. So I designed a program at the time for brides and wives, brides for life, wives for life, which is actually coming back. Because I realized it's one thing to have this amazing big party, which is a wedding, but it's a very different thing to decide how am I then going to move forward from this situation to actually creating the life that I want. So I started seeing the problem right there. And that is how my purpose started to evolve. You see, if you see the pain that really gets to you, my question to you right now is, what is that one thing that really irritates you? Think about life. It could have happened to you personally, or maybe your friends. What is that one thing that really gets to you? I want you to take a moment and I'll give you just a few seconds to write down in your journal. What is that thing that really gets to you? That thing that really makes you feel heartbroken, irritated, stressed, and you're like, I must find an answer for this. Take a moment to write that down. I'll put off my video so as to allow you to put that down into your journal. Have you put down one or two or three things that really make you feel irritated? For me, it is when I see someone's potential is not being realized. When I see someone has an idea, has insights, but somehow they're not able to exercise those insights. When I see someone has a gift and because of fear, they are not exercising that. So as you write down the things that really get to you, I encourage you, write down, there may be 2 or 3 or 4. Would anyone like to share a few of them on the chat? The things that really get to you, the things that make you sad when you look around your life, your community, personally, even with other people. What are some things that are really getting into you? And they irritate you, they make you feel I must find a solution for this. Anyone would like to put anything in the chat? I'm happy for you too. So for me, as I continue to uncertainty of life, great, Germina, thank you. People doing their work in a mediocre way. Daisy, I feel you. Germina, inequality. Ruth, low self-esteem. Rachel, poverty. Keep going. I'm looking for, I see we're almost 100. Caroline Makoha, bad leadership. Charlotte, people who quickly say impossible. Grace, people who don't keep their word. Children who can't attain an education. Very true. I love the comments coming through. People who present themselves in a sloppy fashion. Broken relationships. Children go to school and in adult life are not able to read and write well. Elizabeth, disorganization in the home. Grace, lies. Annette, lack of a voice in the marriage. Harriet. Keep moving, they're coming in fast and furious. Harriet, people who give up so easily. Irrelevant education from Doris. Cassandra, Doreen, lazy people. Diana, lies. Rose, people who are passive aggressive. I know those people. Esther Bwaku, wonderful to see you, Esther, my friend. Negative attitude and dishonesty. Gloria Nalugwa, businesses running poorly. Winnie, people who demean others. Lucy has a list. Number 1, young girls suffering with low esteem. Jermina, traffic accidents. Suppressing children from speaking because they're young. Glow, trees being cut down. Joyce, ineptitude. People who overdo religion. Wow. And the list continues. The list continues. I love it. that you're seeing the things that really get to you. Okay? So we're beginning to find our purpose. Overdo. How? Yes, Harriet is asking, how do they overdo? There are people who over-spiritualize or unfortunately use spiritual ideas to actually hoodwink people. Yeah? But I'll leave that to Nelly because that is the problem she's chosen, right? And as you look at all the things, people who like to cheat others, I want to encourage us to then go back to the purpose equation. And in this purpose equation, which I wrote about in my first book, Rise, there are two parts to the equation. The first is pain. Pain. Pain points. All of us have experienced pain or find things that really get to us. And what happens is that when you've experienced that pain or you see other people experiencing that pain, you realize you have to find your solution because it knows at your spirit. It keeps making you itch. I have to do something. I have to do something. And the pain of that experience or those issues that we've all listed there does not disappear. Instead, it recurs and keeps growing until you decide to pay attention to it. Pain. You will find that the pains that we are writing down somehow have impacted on us in one way or the other. Maybe we've experienced it, or maybe people close to us have experienced it. Do not ignore your pain. Your pain point is a sign that your assignment, which is your purpose, your divine assignment, is connected to solving that problem that pains you. Okay? Your divine assignment is connected to solving that problem which pains you. So the first thing we've done is find out our pain points. The second thing we need to consider is our passion, which is very connected to our mission. What do I mean by our passions? Passion zone is the sum total of your gifts, talents, experiences, good, bad, and ugly, and skills that you do effortlessly, that takes you to a space of flow. Have you ever done some work and people are just amazed? They're like, oh my goodness, how do you do that? And you're like, oh, okay, thank you. But in your heart, you're like, I didn't even do that much. It almost flowed naturally. Have you ever been absorbed in a piece of work that it's just flowing? You look at the time, you started at 9, the next minute, oh my goodness, how can 2 hours have gone by? That means you're in a state of flow. You see, in a deep sense, our purpose is always going to be connected with our set of gifts and talents. God, in his divine wisdom, would never allow you to feel pain without giving you in equal measure a way to solve that pain. And so when you think about your passions, I want you to think clearly about your talents, your gifts, your skills, and everything that you have been granted that can help you start to solve that pain point. When you multiply pain times passion, that is how you get your purpose. And I'm going to make it very practical for you. You see, our divine maker, God, did not allow us to be born for nothing. Even if, unfortunately, someone said, you are a mistake. Oh, you shouldn't have been born. Oh, I don't know what. Please ignore those. Forgive them. They did not know what they are saying. Every person, from the moment of conception, already has a purpose within them. And that divine assignment is the problem that has your name. And it has your name. And how do you know it has your name? Because you're already feeling drawn to it by feeling pain about it. So when you combine your passion with your pain, at that point is where you find your purpose, right? And so I'll tell you a little bit about my own experience personally. I noticed that a lot of people, especially women, and I found even men, would struggle with finding their talents, figuring out how to do what it is they need to do. And as they did so, what then happened is that they lost time. I worked in big corporate organizations where women would choose it's work or life. But I was like, but why do you need to choose? How can we make this more human, more humane? And then I also realized that I was also getting caught up in that trap of fear. And you know, there are very many fears that get in the way of us finding our purpose. Let me share with you a couple of fears. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of betrayal, fear of looking foolish, fear of social situations, fear of death, fear of poverty, fear of even wealth, fear of ill health. I write many of them in my third book, Reinvent. Fear of fear itself, fear of beginning again. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to cure you of those fears. You see, fear actually has a personal and very positive side to it. It's there to protect us. But actually, when fear becomes too much, what happens? It starts to do what? To paralyze us. To paralyze us. And that is when you need to ensure you block that fear from paralyzing you. So how do you then move from pain and passion to start moving towards your purpose? Ask yourself a couple of questions. Look back to any pattern of pain that keeps recurring and ask yourself, why is this issue so important to me that I have even written it in a chart here? Why is it so important to me? Then ask yourself, what can I do with what I have today to solve this issue? Then start small, but start today. Be consistent, and you'll uncover your purpose, your divine assignment. Start small. You know, many times you may look and say, oh my goodness, that's Dr. Pat. How about all those awards? I've written 3 books, 5 journals. Pamela has written incredible books. But really the question I want to ask you today is, I was an accidental author. I never thought I would even be speaking to you. My career started as an auditor. What are the chances that I would reinvent myself, painfully I must add, to become a leadership coach and catalyst, to be speaking to you and other people globally? It took that courage of starting with one small step. And you see, when you think about starting with small steps, there are a couple of things you need to ask yourself. Why am I afraid? Because sometimes we're comfortable, isn't it? We're comfortable, we don't want to attempt. You see, as I discovered that this was the direction I needed to go, I realized now I could do a lot of the purposeful work within the role I had, but not as much as I had wanted. So some of us are thinking purpose is out there. No, purpose is already within you, ladies and gentlemen. It is already within you. All you need to do is uncover it, discern it, and start to do it. And remember, purpose is not about me. It's not about you. It's about others, solving the problems that others, and maybe you, are going through, so as to lift the human spirit. Anytime you think purpose is about yourself, know that you're actually off track, because then we become self-absorbed and it stops being purpose. You see, our purpose is intricately connected to the purpose of others. Now that got me thinking. If I didn't say yes, if I didn't obey and say yes to that divine assignment, what that means is that by virtue of saying no, I have cut off all these other people who have been wanting to find their purpose. Recently, some lady told me, the program that Pamela did with us, the Breakthrough Mastery Circle, one of the alumni came and said, you know what, Dr. Pat, I thank God that you, together with your team, started this program. Because of this program, my business has multiplied. My family is stronger. What if you never said yes to your purpose? How many people would you cut off from their purpose because your purpose is connected to them? So I want to ask you, each of you, 101 of us, who is within you who you have not yet met? I hadn't met Dr. Pat to begin with. I was Patricia. I hadn't met Dr. Pat, the author, accidental author. I hadn't met Dr. Pat, the global speaker. What about you? Who is within you who you have not yet met? because you're afraid or because you keep thinking purpose will come with a lot of fireworks, writing on the wall. Let me tell you, you probably have already started to do something about purpose, but you will only see that looking back. When I was in campus many years ago, one of the things I did was I went to a girls' club. And in that girls' club, we were taught about character, virtues, and all those kind of things. So one of the things they told us is once you learn this thing, go back to your campus and see if you can teach it. So therein started a very simple voluntary circle where we talk about personality development. Now, many years later, we were launching something at a corporate level. And this lady comes and says, Dr. Pat, you're an overnight success. And I think, no, actually it took me 15 years to figure out what that purpose is and to do it. And I want to see if within this time, and also when you sign up for the program, you will find a shorter way to get closer to your purpose. You don't need to take 15, 20, 30 years. And even if that's an amount of time, you're in your 50s and you're thinking, how do I reinvent myself? Start where you're at. So I told this lady, no, I'm not an overnight success. Then a lady in the audience says, oh, I remember you used to give us this character development, personality development classes when we were in campus in the 90s. And I was like, I had even forgotten. So somehow in his divine wisdom, God has already sprinkled ways in which you have started to live your purpose without realizing. I see Juliet has raised her hand. Yes, Juliet, I welcome your comments. Juliet, would you like to say something? Okay. In a few minutes, I'm going to be opening it up to questions, and I'm happy to actually answer the questions that you have in your heart, because I'm here to serve you and to help you move forward and actually get closer to signing up for this program. And you see, the whole idea of pain and purpose and passion are very intricately connected. And remember, we started with pain, and now we are in passion. And when you put the two together, this is what you get. So some of us have heard about Ikigai and the whole idea of where is your passion. The passion is this red area. So some of us are in a profession that you're great at. You also love it. You also find that the world needs it. And then you're also paid for it, right? Now, where everything intersects, your passion, your mission, which is really what the world needs, the problem you're solving, your vocation, which is connected to your spirit, your spiritual well-being, and your profession, if you're lucky and God blesses you to be able to have something that touches all those dots, then this is where purpose is. But what if you can't find the intersection? And that's the case for many of us. Find that purpose associated to something that you're already doing. So maybe you're in a job that you don't really love. Find someone, something that you can actually help solve that's connected to your pain points, whether it's within that organization, in your community, in your family, because the purpose seed is already within you. It's waiting to germinate. And it only germinates the minute you start to solve someone's problem, because meaning is attached to helping others find who they were created to be and to live their spirit in a higher and elevated way. So how do you then overcome fear, and how do you find your purpose? 3 S's. The first one, be still. Ladies and gentlemen, in a very busy world, most of us cannot sit still because there's always something that's making us keep moving. We are in the season of busyness, and I don't mean business, busyness, busy like a bee, always moving around, confusing that motion is not equals to progress. One of the things that really helped me and has helped a number of clients and friends that I know is to learn to stop. Put 20, 30 minutes a day to pray, to be still, to reflect. If you can do a few minutes in the morning and another few minutes in the evening, you will find that you're able to then discern what that inner voice, the conscience, is trying to tell you. be still. The second thing I want to encourage you is, apart from being still, is learn to be silent. Learn to be silent. It's one thing to be still. It's another thing to silence the noise from outside. But I think many of us have internal noise that we need to figure out and to overcome. Learn to be silent. That silence is where you realize, I'm being called to serve this kind of people. I'm being called to do this, to come up with this solution. If Pamela tells you her story after reading her book, which I read in tears, you will find that the work she's doing is intricately connected to the pain she's been through. And now her mission is to ensure that other people don't need to experience that pain. They don't need to go through the entire route that she went through. She can give them some shortcut to actually live a more meaningful life. You only see that when you learn to be silent, because in silence, you're able to connect the dots backwards and see, these are the patterns. These are the patterns of how life has been. These are the things I've been doing. And also, these are the things I should not be doing. When you learn to be still and to be silent, then you start to have more courage. And what I say is clarity, because clarity is power. Clarity to actually see, I need to take the next step. Someone has asked, how do I overcome fear? You overcome fear by action, taking a step forward and another one. One of the things that fear does is to paralyze us such that we can't move. But I believe that when you take that small step forward, even if it's a small baby step, action cures everything. The third S on how to find your purpose is to start. Just start. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. But I want to say start. Start late. Start over. Start scared. Start again. Just start. I'm reminded of when I decided now to really go full-blown into really living my purpose and helping others find their purpose. I had to be at a crossroad. And when you're at a crossroad, you have to choose which way to go. And the trade-offs are not easy. I remember for me to now connect my work and my purpose, I actually left a big job, which was paying me lots of money, to actually go into what looked like a startup, where I knew I could develop my skills and that passion and actually live my purpose. There are always going to be trade-offs, ladies and gentlemen. Finding purpose and being comfortable, they don't go together. You have to get out of that comfort and go right out to where you are most needed. And that will cost you something. Be willing to pay the price if a purposeful life is what you need. The opposite is disobeying and living a life that is full of regret of, I wish I tried, how comes I didn't, I regret. No, it's not late. It's not late for you to start off that thing that you've been saying is part and parcel of your purpose. You see, when it comes to business, I know many of you are in business. One of the things I encourage you to do is to ask yourself, why is this business operating? What is the reason for this business? It's the same question you ask for yourself. Why was I created? Each of us was created to solve a problem, and to solve a problem that has your name. If your name is Gianna, there is a problem that has your name on it. Even if you are a twin of a set of twins or triplets, you have a unique assignment that God has given. That's on a personal level. When it comes to business, I want you to consider asking yourself, what is the purpose of this business? And what are the questions you can ask yourself? The first thing, what is the change you're creating through that business? What is the impact you want to make or you're making? And then what is this you're selling or buying? And how does that all interact? Where it intersects is where the purpose of that business is. And so as you think about purpose, just remember, you're solving a problem. It is pain that gets to you. It is a combination of your passion points, the things you're good at, And when you combine that, you start to see your purpose. You see, this idea of purpose can also be brought to your work. How do you bring purpose to your work? Jacob Morgan brings this image, which is really attractive, around your work. So you have a job. All of us have a job. Whether we are being paid for it or not, there's a job we are doing. How do you bring purpose into your job? I want to encourage you is raise your intention. What problem are you solving? Whose problem are you solving? So whatever job you're doing, I remember a lady who used to sell us mandazis, scones at tea time. And she would come and they were tasty and they were nice and hot. And because a lot of us were single at the time, breakfast was not something we would eat. So we would look forward to getting to the office and drinking our tea and buying those scones and mandazis. And I remember the love with which she put into those, making those mandazis and bringing them on time. And the 1 or 2 days she was sick, you could even tell the mood in the office was very poor because everyone was like, what happened to our mandazis? Oh, Mama Sally is not there. But one time I asked her, Mama Sally, why do you do this with such love? With a smile, you come walking from your home all the way because I know you can't afford that ride in the matatu or even a boda boda. I know in Uganda, in Kampala, there are many boda bodas. One almost hit me the other day. I was there, But she couldn't afford that. And then she said, Patricia, this job of cleaning the office, making you tea, and now I was given permission to sell the mandazis and the scones. I find purpose in it because these mandazis are the ones that are going to educate my children. And let me tell you, recently I bumped into Mama Sally. I asked her, how are you doing? She said, I retired. I now have a shamba, a farm. I'm now just planting my little food. And do you know my 3 daughters have finished university and they're now working and now they're the ones taking care of me. Intention. What is your intention? Even in that job that you feel, I don't like, it's so stressful, they don't pay enough. That is where your purpose needs to be lived, right there. Because your soul is getting depleted the more you complain. But the minute you connect an intention and a positive, rectified intention, the better you become. Now, when you look at impact, then you ask yourself, aha, what is the outcome? What is the outcome of my work? She elevated our mood. She encouraged us. She fed our tummies. And guess what? Our children got through university. She probably was a lot more financially astute than a lot of my colleagues who are earning 10 times what she was earning. And lastly, the meaning is why you do it. Why you do it. For her, she said, serving you people tea makes me happy. Selling you these mandazis, I am encouraged when I go home with an empty bucket. She would come with a bucket. So wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, that is where you need to start to live your purpose. Look around, look beyond your nose, look beyond your issues and ask yourself, who is struggling in this environment that I can help? And therein begins the journey of you living your purpose. The purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it. But I must say, I agree with David Viscott that the meaning of life is to give your gift away. May we die empty. May we die knowing we have given everything we were given to others. And that where we have struggled, we have also forgiven. I must talk a little bit about forgiveness because I have found there will be very many challenges in life. And when we don't forgive, we actually hold back from living our purpose. One of the ways that I have found that has helped catalyze, accelerate purpose in my life is to learn to forgive regularly. And forgiveness doesn't happen when people tell you sorry. Forgiveness is when you choose that your soul deserves peace. And forgive is to actually say, I am trying to let go. I'm going to release that pain and what happened then so that I can begin to see the purpose of that pain. Because the minute you see that pain in its true version that was meant to teach you that there's a connection to your purpose, It only happens when you start to forgive. And so remember that the meaning of life is to give your gift away. But that starts with discovering your gift and developing that gift. Everyone must choose one of the two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I find in purpose, most people want to see their purpose all at once. No, it's in small atomic habits, bit by bit, as the book is called Atomic Habits. It's bit by bit that you choose to take a step of discipline, a step of, oh, let me try this, a step of, let me wake up, I have fallen, a step of beginning again, as opposed to saying, I didn't know how to start, I'm too old, I'm too experienced to be asking questions. Then you end up falling in the pain of regret. Don't quit. But I say ignore the NT and the QU, and I say do it. Start where you are. St. Francis of Assisi said, start by doing what is necessary. Then do what is possible. And in no time, you'll be doing what you thought was impossible. Before I open up to questions and comments, I want to encourage you to sign up for Crafting Your Own Power. This is a 6-week journey to inspire you. Make your August and September count, because holistic self-care will happen here. What do you get? You get a manual that Pamela and her team have created, 2-hour weekly classes, a final end-term retreat, self-care vision board and action plan as a final product. And you can see that they even have a discounted rate for those of you who register within these days that we're doing this free webinar. Don't be a late bird. Don't procrastinate. I just want to encourage you as you think about crafting your own power, that procrastination is the arrogant assumption that anyone, anything you are meant to do today, that you are arrogantly assuming you will have the opportunity to do it tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, choose to start to follow that inkling that you have been thinking about, that you've been hearing in your soul, telling you, I need to do more of this. I need to consider this. Don't ignore that. I see someone here has asked me for a question on Victoria, imposter syndrome. Thank you very much. I love to talk about imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is the voice that tells you you don't belong here. You shouldn't be here. Ha, ha, ha. You are not enough. You're not worthy. So these days, what I learned is imposter syndrome will only happen when you are doing something that will help you grow and you're on the cusp of greatness and purposeful impact. So these days when I hear imposter syndrome, a couple of things are important. The first thing, ask yourself, where do those voices and those words come from? Maybe someone told you those things many years ago, and so you need to start to forgive them. The second thing you need to ask yourself is, beyond forgiveness, what do I need to do next? I have named my imposter syndrome a silly name. I call him Bozo. Every time imposter syndrome tells me, I don't think you can do it. You shouldn't be speaking to them. This is not the space you should be doing this. I say, Bozo, thank you for helping me prepare better, but I am now going to press mute on you because it's not time to listen to you. So now I no longer look at imposter syndrome as a fear, as something that's blocking me. I see it as a signal that I am about to do something purposeful. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never feel imposter syndrome if you spend your day in bed. You don't wake up, you snooze all day, you do nothing. Imposter syndrome will never come your way. Imposter syndrome only comes your way when you're on the cusp of doing something purposeful. So if you're feeling imposter syndrome, well done, congratulations. It means you're on the cusp of doing something great that will have an impact on the human spirit and that is purposeful and meaningful. Victoria, I hope that makes a difference for you. Let me see if there are any other questions and comments. What do you do if you have many passions but limited time to do? I feel you, Joyce. I find myself doing too much but not to the best of my ability. Joyce, I want to encourage you to sit quietly. Remember the 3 S's? Be still, be silent, and then start. In your stillness, take your journal. And I'm sure Pamela has many journals. Take your journal and write down all the things you're doing. Because remember, purpose is a divine assignment. If you pray, ask God, show me what needs to go on my stop doing list, not your start doing, your stop doing list. Show me what needs to go onto my stop doing list. And you'll start to see things that you need to defer, delegate, drop, delay, and then you'll narrow down to the 2 or 3 things that you can do exceptionally well. Those of us who have multiple talents, they're called multi-potentialites. That is the struggle we have. But I have found, if you look at life from a seasonal perspective, in this season, what are my non-negotiables? What are the 2-3 things that I must do and do very well to the glory of God, using my skills, my talents, and my time? And don't worry about the other things. Another season will come and you can start them. But maybe not all of them are to be done by you. Maybe the goal is to help someone else, support them with an idea so they can run with some of the things that you can't do that well as they can. Joyce, I hope that answers you. Daisy is saying there's a video I saw on someone's status talking about how to use imposter syndrome to your advantage. Oh, that's very interesting. Aligns with what Dr. Pat just said. Thank you, Daisy. Zamay Susan is asking what are the 3 S's to finding your purpose and living it. The first, still, be still. The second, be silent. Listen to the inner voices. The third, start where you are with the little that you have. I also see some hands up. Gloria, and let me see. Gloria has a hand up. Gloria and Harriet, I'm happy to receive your questions. Gloria and Harriet, welcome. I welcome your comments. Gloria, welcome.
Yes, I think I just raised my hand by mistake, but thank you so much for the insightful talk. I think the 3 S's are really, really straightforward, being still and being silent. Maybe what I can add is our inner voices always tell us, but I think we are just too distracted by so many things that we are not able to actually look within and look for the answers that God has already placed in our hearts. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Gloria. Thank you for your comments. Any question that you'd like to ask that I can help you clarify how to move forward? Shirley, I see you're unmuted. You'd like to say something?
Yes, Dr. Pat, there was a question from Ruth where she asked, how does she overcome fear?
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Ruth talks about overcoming fear. And I mentioned a little bit about it earlier on when I said, when I feel fearful, I'm reminded of starting Rise School, for example. I was fearful. I had no skills, no digital skills. I'd just written a book and people kept saying, now you've written the book Rise, start a program to help us learn how to rise. And I know Pamela and anyone else who's an entrepreneur will identify with the fear of the unknown. But what I did is these 3 S's. I sat still. I told myself, we are given ideas for a season such as this. If I ignore that idea, I will live to regret it. And my circumstances are uniquely placed to execute that idea. And that's exactly what I started to start believing it. Start even looking for the vision. As part of this program you're going to do, you'll do a vision board. Something happens when you have a vision board in front of you. In my own family, down to my youngest, started doing a vision board when she was what? Less than 6, 5? That's when she did her vision. And there's something about putting the pictures, prayerfully thinking about them, and looking at that vision board every day to help anchor where you need to go. So I encourage you, get that vision board. The second thing that is important is to surround yourself with people, 1 or 2 people who I call personal board of directors, who will give you insights on how to move forward. Because sometimes you really don't know. So I looked for some young Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, and they told me, this is what you should be thinking about. This is the website. These are the kind of investments. You need to do a whole production. So you have to have a learning mindset. The idea of a know-it-all, move from the know-it-all to the learn-it-all. Because I find one of the ways fear blocks us is it tells you, you're such an expert, Dr. Pat. How can you be asking such a foolish question? Please, there's no question that's foolish. And in fact, the more you ask, the more curious you are, the more likely you are to overcoming that fear. And then very much in the third place, start wherever you are. Fear has a way of ensuring you don't start. The minute you start, action cures everything. You become an ace. Action cures everything. And in so doing, remain accountable to someone. So in case fear gets a hold of you again, you have an opportunity to speak to a mentor or someone in your personal board of directors to reflect on how to move forward and what to avoid doing. So I hope, Ruth, that has had an impact on you, that I have answered your question. I see a few more messages. How to overcome the feeling of it's all vanity anyway. That's one of the most crippling reasons that pop into my mind when I think about daring to dream or to do too much. Oh, Jamina, I love it. But let me tell you something, Jamina. God created each and every one of us to do great and amazing things. And great things are not by the world standard, that you're on a big platform speaking to millions of people. No, no, no. It is the spirit of service, the spirit of excellence, the love you put into taking care of that baby, even when people cannot see it. And so remember that the gifts and talents that we've been given, if we don't use them to solve the problems of others, they will rot and we will become resentful. So the way to ensure it is not vanity is to give all glory to God. And the reason I speak with such confidence is because I know that Evolving Woman and the work we also do is very connected on the spiritual realm around giving glory to God. So am I going to write that article on LinkedIn that is going to help someone find out how to be a Bunny leader, my most recent article, and that in so doing, find their purpose? So do I choose not to write it because vanity? Who am I after all? No, you flip it and turn the intention to this article, which is part of my purpose, could help a leader who is struggling in a bunny world, in a world that's so disrupted. So the way to overcome the feeling of vanity is to remember your gifts and talents were placed in you to solve problems. And if you solve problems multiple times, you solve big problems. Secondly, give glory to God. Even when people praise you, just remember, I'm just an instrument. That I have found has been one of the things that has helped me not get into this whole idea of it's vanity or it's me who is doing these things. No, the purpose came from God, execution with a lot of favor, hard work, and grace. But ultimately, the glory of the impact goes right back to the source of the purpose. So I hope that helps you. Happy says, when I keep silent, a drum of things pour concerning my issues. Where am I going? I just start singing. How do I silence those voices? One of the things I want to encourage you is to write down those things that are concerning you. Write them down. The reason they keep boiling up like a pressure cooker is because you keep putting a lid on them. But I want to encourage you, Happy, write them down. And in that silence, ask, what should I do with these things? For you, maybe singing is a form of prayer. They say when you sing, you pray twice, right? But what I want to encourage you, those voices are keeping on coming up because maybe we're not really dealing with the issues. When I sit in silence and I get distracted, one of the things I choose to do is to actually write down what is distracting me. And in so doing, I make a whole list of ways to move forward. I want to encourage you that reading is important. One of my mental, intellectual goals that have helped my purpose is to read books and to read wisely. My goal is to read 100 books this year. I'm slow, I'm going very slowly this year because life has been a little bit rich, but I'm on book 32. What I have found with every book I read, I just want to implement one idea. And that one idea, no matter what kind of book I'm reading, and if you follow me on our socials, you see the books that I'm reading, whether it's on marriage, on leadership, on global governance, on cooking, on whatever it is, one idea to be implemented to help me become my next best self. You see, purpose is ultimately supposed to help us become a higher, purer, better version of ourselves. If we ignore that spiritual well-being, that calling, that divine assignment of taking care of our conscience, of asking at the end of every day, something I call the examination of conscience. What have I done well? What have I done well? What can I do better tomorrow? If you get in the habit of asking those 3 questions, individually or as a family, you start to see the areas, that patterns that need to be broken, patterns that need to be built, and spaces to be given thanks from. Lastly, one thing that shows you that you're on track with purpose is to have a grateful spirit. You see, the soul needs to be fed. And if we don't feed it with what it was created for, which means our spiritual well-being, connecting with God, our maker, starting to live that purpose, it starts to look for other things to attach itself. And that's how addictions come. Addictions to social media, addictions to screen, addictions to approval, addictions to pornography, addictions to even work, even good things can become idols. So I want to encourage us, find a way to ensure that you have time to ask yourself those 3 questions. Because in those 3 questions, you'll begin to see the way in which you need to move forward. But lastly, if every night you can go to bed on a note of gratitude, telling God, I'm grateful for this, writing it down. I'm a believer in writing things down. When you document things, very many things get off your chest. Some days I'm very upset, I'm hurt, I'm discouraged. I'm like, I don't want to go to bed with this weight. Let me drop it in my journal and right there, I surrender all. I let this thing go. And then I go to bed, and the following morning, I wake up with ideas on how to solve those issues. So beyond everything, to sleep with a grateful heart, because a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. And when you start to live your purpose, you begin to live life with a miracle mindset. That's all from me. I now welcome any final comments, and I hope that I have met your expectations. And if you can write down in the chat one word that has stood out for you from this segment, I appreciate your attention. 118 of you. We are coming to Uganda in October. So after you do Craft Your Power in August and September, the next thing I welcome you to do is to join us for the Your Next Best Self Summit. It's the 7th year. And if you know, the number 7 is a number of completion, a number of perfection. So we're bringing the conference. Last year was in South Africa. We thought that the Pearl of Africa is the next stop. So later on, once you've done Craft Your Power, I welcome you to then enroll into the Your Next Best Self Summit so that you can live the second half of this year, elevating from crafting your power to elevating. And Pamela Babirukamu will be one of our keynote speakers. So get immersed in learning, ladies and gentlemen. This world is no longer taking hostages who refuse to learn. The issues and the challenges we face need us to have a learning spirit and learning agility. So without further ado, let me say thank you very, very much. You can connect with me on some of our socials, whether it's on LinkedIn or Instagram. My name remains the same. Thank you very much, Pamela, for honoring me with this time. And I hope that each of you will find ways to craft your power and then become your next best self. Over and out. My name is Dr. Patricia Morugami, and it's been a joy and honor sharing my insights with you. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Dr. Pat, that was beautiful. Very, very impactful. We can only say thank you. Please give flowers to Dr. Pat. If you're able to go to your where you have the part of reactions, let's give her flowers. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. That was very, very impactful. And let us be ready to sign up for Crafting Your Power program and the summit that will be coming up. Let us ensure we do not miss. The best thing you can do for yourself is to invest in yourself. You invest in your learning, you increase your value, and definitely you will see the returns. of this video. We cannot thank you enough. Let us be still. It's important that we are still. It's important that we are silent. And it is very important that we start. We have to start. Please sign up for the training, sign up, and also take action. I'm seeing so many people in the chat, very, very many people. Thank you so much for signing up. Thank you so much for being in. We are going to take just a few minutes for a health break. And because I think we've already asked, most of our questions were all in the chat. We'll take a health break for I think it should just be like 3 minutes. Coach Pam, is 3 minutes okay?
Yes, it is. Can I just say a vote of thanks to Dr. Morugami before she leaves?
Please.
Give me a second. I am really excited. Thank you, Dr. Pat, for honoring us. Dr. Pat is one of my mentors, and she has really, I can say that I have been able to elevate this year because of Dr. Pat's, good program, the Breakthrough Mastery Circle. And if you are looking for a space for growth, look out for Dr. Pat's events and programs. Dr. Pat, your wisdom, we cannot downplay the time that you have been here with us. You have really helped us to understand this spiritual aspect for us to find spiritual fulfillment. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. God bless you. Thanks for your time, and see you in October. Looking forward.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward.
much, Pamela, my sister, Coach Pamela, Adversity Quotient Coach. I enjoy what you're doing, and I honor you for inviting me and for this incredible platform. May God bless the work of your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pat. Yeah.
All right. So let's go for our health break. 3 minutes. Let us come back at 19. It's now 19:39. So okay, let's do it 19:45. No, 19:42. I think that should be enough. Or 43. 19:43 hours. Welcome back from the health break. If you just missed the previous minutes, I don't know what to say, but don't worry, we are on YouTube. The recording is there, so you can continue, follow us. We are actually on now. We are on YouTube as well. And there's so many comments in the chat. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And for the questions, to ensure that they don't all get mangled up in the chat, please use the Q&A. Post your questions in Q&A so that we are able to pick them. We've just finished the session with Dr. Pat, and please do not leave. We have a great speaker. Coach Pam is coming. But before that, let's have a testimony from Rachel, who is an alumni of the Craft Your Power program. Over to you, Rachel.
Okay, I can't enable my video. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mumbeda Natalie Rachel, and I am super excited to be on this call. I want to welcome each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen. I did CYOP in 2023. And I'll tell you, this course did some very amazing things for me. One, this program taught me how to harness my power and how to manage that power. You know, on the journey of life, you realize that we give away so much power in so many places. We give power to our workplaces, to our bosses. We give power to our spiritual spaces. We give power to our spouses. You know, we go on giving power to different people and different spaces. So crafting your own power taught me that if I'm going to really reinvent myself, if I'm going to fly, I have to reclaim that power. I have to reclaim that power. And I will tell you, I am on the quest to reclaim that power. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm super excited about the process. I do trust the process. I have embraced the process of reclaiming my power. And how do I go about that? Crafting your own power taught us, equipped us with self-care tools. And those were across the 8 dimensions of life. Spiritually, I always ask myself, Rachel, how are you doing spiritually? Have you reclaimed your power? Do you know that you're a child of God? Do you know that you're loved, you're honored, you're precious? So I always affirm myself with the word of God. I'm on a quest to connect more with my Father, because I realized, actually, CYOP made me realize that if I am spiritually well, I'm going to be emotionally well. And somehow I'll find myself also being financially well. Most times you'll find that if you're not well in one area, you're also not going to be well in another area. So for me, CYOP was really all about learning how to start walking a new journey of working towards a balanced life. I don't only want to be financially well. No, I also want to be spiritually well. I want to be emotionally well. I want to be physically well. One of the things I used to struggle with really before I did CYOP was physical wellness. Because I'm naturally small and petite, I took it for granted that I am healthy. CYOP taught me that, look here, Rachel, regardless of the fact that you're petite and small and you think you're healthy, you have to build the discipline of exercising every single day. And now I am telling you, I'll still say it, I'm not where I want to be. But every day I ask myself, have you done some sort of exercise, Rachel? Every day I put time aside to reflect about my life across all the dimensions, because we did that wellness, the wheel of life. And when we looked, Coach Pamela and all the other coaches who did the training kept telling us, all of them kept sharing that we need to be well across the dimensions, spiritually, physically, emotionally, intellectually, what is the other one? Socially, occupationally, and financially, and environmentally. How is my environment? So every time I look at myself and ask, how is my environment? Have I decluttered my mind? Am I connecting with people? Am I making and building intentional relationships? And I want to tell you guys, people in my circles have told me, Rachel, what changed? Something changed, something shifted. And I'm happy to announce that it is because I did CYOP. Thank you so much, Coach Pamela, and all the ladies I did CYOP with. I've seen some of you here. Shali, you're one of them. Thank you so much for leading us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say, please do jump onto this course. Do sign in today, register today, and do this course. It's only 6 weeks, but it is super amazing. It's going to shift something, and you will see that the trajectory of your life is going to change. So I think not to take so much time, I just want to end by saying I walked away with a vision board from CYOP, Crafting Your Own Power, and I put that vision board right on the wall next to my prayer altar. So every time, it's one of the things I see most in my house. Every time, I'm walking in my bedroom, I see it. And I every time I have my reflection time, I pray on that altar. I pray on that wall and I say, God, I have these dreams. Please help me achieve them. Right now I know my purpose, and every day I ask God, what have I done? Is there something I need to do more to ensure that I propel myself better towards this purpose? I just want to thank Dr. Morugami for the wonderful, wonderful presentation. I've been taking my notes, and in there, next time, please don't play very good music. Otherwise, we had failed to go for the bathroom break. Over to you, Shirley. Thank you so much, Coach Pam and the team. God bless you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you, thank you. Yes, we can all have the opportunity of being the best versions of ourselves. I think for me, I always just like to pick like one statement and I move with it, or anything that I do. I think for me, when I did that course, the one thing I discovered was being able to identify self-sabotaging habits. What is that you do that sabotages you and stops you from being the best version of yourself? If you want to know more, sign up for the program. Thank you. We are going now to have our next speaker, and I'm really, really honored to introduce the next speaker, Coach Pamela Babirukamu, who is a diversity quotient coach. Pamela Babirukamu is a dynamic and passionate advocate for women empowerment, with a vision to eliminate barriers that prevent women from reaching their full potential. She is a co-founder of Evolving Woman. I think you've heard about that particular program. Google it. It's doing a lot of things. It has really created a lot of impact. One of the big things that it has is called A Night with the King, an event they host just before Women's Day. So it normally happens in March or late Feb. She has spearheaded initiatives like EZA, a transformative 10-week self-discovery program that has positively impacted the lives of very, very many women. I'm one of the alumni of that program as well. Additionally, she leads Treza Teens, a camp designed to instill self-awareness and confidence in young girls, empowering them to embrace their potential. So if you do have a girl that is from the age of 11 to 18, please sign her up, even up to 24. Sign her up for that program. She will completely transform her life. In addition to her impactful work with Evolving Woman, Pamela is a adversity quotient coach, a human rights advocate, and a successful businesswoman. Her dedication to women empowerment has been recognized through the receipt of the 2020 Virtuous Women Award. Furthermore, Pamela is a published author with books. One of her books is Beaten Not Crushed, God's Masterpiece, Fit for Purpose, Crafting Your Own Power, which is the program that we did. We will be, those of you will be signing on, and that's the program we started, and Embrace Your Queer and Travel Light. Serving as an inspirational resource for individuals seeking personal growth and empowerment. Her book, Beaten Not Crushed, was honored with the 2022 Best Book Award of the Year by the African Christian Author Book Award in the women category, underscoring the impact of her powerful storytelling. If you read that book, you'll know what it means. Don't be surprised if you actually read it like in 2 days, because it's very, very interesting. For fast readers, you can even read it maybe in a day. Pamela's story and expertise are available through various platforms, including Amazon, CLC Kenya website, africanbook.com, making her a widely accessible resource of inspiration and empowerment. With her unwavering commitment to fostering confidence and self-awareness in women and girls, Pamela continues to make profound and lasting impact in the realms of women empowerment. Please join me to welcome Coach Pam. Over to you, Coach.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Let me just crack a small joke. It always amazes me how after people have read our bios, we always seem to be amazed. And yet most times we have actually the ones who have given them the bios. But yes, we need to give credit where it's due. Thank you very much, Shirley, for that great introduction. So ladies, I hope, and gentlemen, I hope that you are enjoying yourselves. I hope that you're enjoying yourselves. So Dr. Pat did a good job starting us off. I am basically going to be sharing with you on harnessing satisfying relationships for a meaningful life. And I know that many of us today we were handling spiritual wellness, and then social and emotional wellness. So I'll be handling social and emotional wellness, and as usual, that's my very colorful presentation. Yeah. So I look forward to hearing and making it very interactive, because I like to hear from you as well on what your thoughts are. So today we are handling the social and emotional wellness. And when it comes to the social wellness, it's basically talking about developing a sense of connection, belonging, and a well-developed support system. Emotional wellness is about coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. So if you see why we tied the social and emotional together, it's because they have a relationship. So one talks about connections, belonging, and a support system. The other talks about how are you coping with life. So when people say, I'm emotionally drained, I'm depressed, I'm unhappy, most times they're not coping effectively with life. And also not having satisfying relationships. We are going to delve deep into the two aspects and just understand it a little bit better. So when we talk about emotional wellness, we are talking about, am I able to express and communicate my feelings? And I know many of you are really locked up in your own little cocoons. You don't want to express yourselves, to let people know how you are doing emotionally. And so if you can't express yourself, you cannot be coping well with life. Yeah. So do I have control over my emotions? Am I able to adapt to change? Am I independent? Am I emotionally stable? So those are the questions you'll be asking yourself. Emotional stability is relative, but you will know that I'm really not happy and things are not going well. Social wellness, can I resolve conflict in all areas of my life? Am I perceptive of other people's feelings? Yeah. Do I communicate well with others? It's about relationships. Yeah. Do I have people in my life that I can trust? Am I able to set boundaries? One of the things we're talking about to the ladies who are doing Talitha right now is talking about boundaries, and people are like, oh my God, I'd never thought that, boundaries are that important. And so, people who are not as assertive as I am, who will find it hard to set boundaries. But we said you don't have to be assertive to set boundaries, you just have to be firm. And so some of those things are, the indicators of your social wellness. Do I have a sense of belonging? Which groups do you belong to as an individual? Or are you the kind who belongs to a family and that's it? So we've had ladies who have joined Talitha or who joined Eza, and they would say, I don't have friends, especially women. I don't want stress. I only have my sisters for friends. And then they realize, oh, oops, we are really missing out. We are really missing out. So which groups do you actually belong to? Do you have a sense of belonging? Do you even belong to a family? Where do you belong? And then they are interconnected and can influence each other. Definitely, social wellness feeds into emotional wellness, and emotional wellness feeds into social wellness. We'll talk about that a little ahead. So I just thought about the fact that there are dual dimensions of coping and relationships. It's a two-sided, should I say, it's two-sided, because you have the inward journey, is how am I coping with life. Then you have the outward journey, which is how am I, building my satisfying relationship. Do I have satisfying relationships, or am I struggling with relationships? If you do not have the two together, and I'll just say the equation is emotional wellness equals coping with life plus satisfying relationships, or emotional wellness equals inward journey plus outward journey. You cannot do one and not do the other. And so it's important for you to find harmony by making sure that the two are well taken care of. And so you would like to ask yourself questions like, am I happy? Am I happy? Yeah? Am I happy? Do you find joy and fulfillment in the things that you do? Am I satisfied? Of course, happiness is fleeting. You can't actually measure it. Yeah, it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. But am I satisfied? Am I content with my goals? How am I doing on my goals? So one of the things we did in Crafting Your Own Power is setting goals for this year, 2024. And we keep checking on each other. How are you doing? Are you on course? Yeah, we actually called our group afterwards, we call it Operation Hakuna Mchezo. The women in the fast lane. So every time we're asking each other, how are you doing? How far have you gone? You have to have some sense of accountability. But are you content with the goals that you have set? Yeah, that's something that is within. No one is going to do that for you. Is my life meaningful? Do I find purpose and direction? And when we talk about meaning life, if you can't find your purpose, you will barely find any meaning in life. And like Dr. Pat was teaching, it just comes out naturally. Whatever flows out of you is what God has already put within you. And it's very clear when the word of God says that his divine power has given you everything you need for life and godliness. It is very clear that everything comes out of you. And therefore you must harness that which is already inside of you. And then we have the outward journey, where we're talking about satisfying relationships. Some of you say, no, me, I'm an island. I don't like to relate. People disappoint. I keep people at, arm's length. I don't want them to come close. People hurt me all the time. But I keep telling people that I think it's better for us to deal with the pain that we have had in the past regarding people and not write people off, because sadly, in this world, we are created to relate. Yeah. So in this outward journey, you have relationships, my relationships meeting my emotional needs is a good question to ask. What kind of relationships do you have that you hold so dear? Yeah, is your relationship with your spouse, meeting your emotional needs? Is your relationship with your family members meeting your emotional needs? What about your workmates? Yeah, you might say, when they come to work, I'm not coming for emotional stability. But if the relationships are not doing well, you're most likely not going to, live a satisfied relationship, life. So do you feel understood, valued, and supported? That's another question that you need to keep asking yourself. Can I count on my relationships for support? Can you count on your relationships for support? I keep telling people that I sat down and mapped on all the roads in Kampala, at least the 4 roads, one going to Entebbe, one going to Jinja, one going to Gayaza, and one going to Masanafu. Yeah. And I was asking myself, if I was stuck in any of those directions, do I have someone I can count on? Someone I can count on to support me? Someone I can count on to come and help me after midnight? It actually happened to me once. My car broke down, the battery just jumped to start, and I was at a petrol station. The guys of the batteries were not working, and I called a friend of mine who came with her husband wearing pajamas. We're both wearing pajamas, but they came to save me at that point. Do you have people you count on? And also, I'm reminded that many of us who are the people who people count on, we are not necessarily also the kind of people who look for help. And that's one of my biggest problems. I just realized that I'm the kind of person people call at 3 a.m., the kind of person someone will say, come here, I'm really dying, I'm in hospital, I need help, I'll go running. But am I the kind of person also who can depend on people to come running for me? Is it something, seeking for help? Is it something that comes naturally? And so we need to have some sort of support. Do you have people that you can turn to in times of need? Who will offer a listening ear? Are you the kind of person whose ear is always listening, but you have no one to listen to you? Do you have a shoulder to cry on? Yeah. Do you have people who practically help you? And these are questions that I'm asking, and I'm sure that many of you are just saying, okay, you know what? I think you have me on some of those. But others might say, yeah, duh, my friends can do all that. So you're basically trying to evaluate yourself. How are you doing in terms of satisfying relationships? So there's an interplay of the two, yeah? Coping and relationships. A strong support system can enhance the ability to cope with stress, right? While effective coping strategies can improve our interactions and relationships. So it works both ways, yeah? Do you have a strong support system that's really, one of the things I learned from Dr. Murugami is that she's made sure that she has a maid who has stayed with her for a long time. I bet really well numerated. Why? That gives us stability to be able to do, work out her purpose. It's one of the things that we are teaching in Evolving Woman, that you're out working so that you can afford yourself a good helper at home who will give you stability. I know somebody whose helper can drive, can do homework, can do absolutely anything to support her with the children while she's thriving with her career. So ladies, let's put every system in place. Let's work on support as much as we can, because if we're not supported, then we are not going to, have that kind of emotional stability. Yeah, so you cannot downplay either of the two. You need to be coping well with life, and you need to have satisfying relationships. So I have got this these 3 points on how we can be able to harness satisfying relationships, and I will, be sharing with you a few of my experiences. Yeah. The first one is set aside time for self-reflection. Yesterday, someone talked about the fact that, she needed some pointers for self-reflection. We need to do this very often. One of the things I encourage the women in Evolving Woman is that every end of the year, we must get into a planning, session or season. And you must go and come back with a vision board to be able to show the work that you have put in. And this, of course, some people don't, others have picked it on, others are running with it. So in the middle of the year, we also do an evaluation, especially for the people who have done Crafting Your Own Power. And you find that some people have actually dropped off along the way. But if you don't have any self-reflection time to think, to ask yourself, how am I balancing in all the 8 spheres of life? You definitely will not be able to keep checking in and see where you're lacking. We always do this wheel of life where you keep evaluating and assessing yourself. How am I doing physically? Yeah. Usually there is one area in life that is struggling. And for me, it's the physical wellness. I have to literally push myself in that area. But there are some people who find it easy, but they are not finding emotional wellness easy. Or the physical wellness is actually serving them well, and they are able to find emotional wellness in the process. So you should be able to do regular check-ins so that you can identify areas of improvement. The other thing is prioritizing self-care. When we talk about prioritizing self-care, some of you will think it's about, looking good, eating good. That's all physical. Self-care is in all the 8 spheres of wellness. How are you nourishing your mind, body, and soul? How are they? How is your relationship with God? Is it growing as well as you're growing in terms of intellectually? Because many of us are reading lots of books these days. I got myself onto a reading journey. And if you're like myself and you're not a good reader, you must find audios to support you on that. I have come to accept that once you're aware of yourself, then you've already solved the problem halfway. And so what are you doing to nourish your mind, your body, and your soul? I'm one of those people who likes to have regular, like speak to myself in the mirror, affirm myself when I'm going somewhere. Pamela, you can do it. You're enough. you've got everything it takes, you know. Sometimes the things playing out in our minds are things that we have had over the years. How are you silencing those voices? Like Dr. Pat gave her herself, what was that? Gave her a name to that
Imposter
what is it?
syndrome. Imposter syndrome.
Absolutely. Imposter syndrome. For us in Evolving Woman, we have this thing where we say, speak to that idle mind that keeps telling you that you're not enough, give it a name. And for those of you who have a Nyankole Bachiga, mine is Embora Mokoro, yeah? Always speaking negativity to me, telling me you're not enough, you're not a good speaker, you're not good enough, you're just struggling, you know, in that imposter syndrome all the time, telling you to shut up, you don't have it all together. But you must be able to find, you know, whatever avenues you can to make sure that you silence those voices that tell you not enough. How are you feeding your body? Yeah, those are some of the things that you need to be thinking about. But also I'm learning that it's okay to do nothing. We have people who have come up with coping mechanisms where you say, you know, for my emotional wellness, for my mental wellness, for me, I have days where I do nothing. Doing nothing means doing nothing. Like you either just there scrolling on TikTok, or you are, you know, just there. Yeah, it's also okay. Some of us are superwomen, supermen. We are used to, you know, solving the world's problems. But I think we need to take a break and think a little bit more about ourselves. Yeah. Sorry, trying to move. So the other thing I realized is be present and attentive. Yeah. I am a sanguine, and I'm a sanguine choleric. I am extroverted in every way. I just love people to be present when I am with them. I like to go and hang out, and we are together. We are in it together. There are people who come with phones and they keep scrolling throughout. I don't enjoy such company because I like to have deep conversations. The question is, you as an individual, whatever your personality is, are you present and attentive? Are you present to those people that are around you? Are you present for your friends? One of my one of my goals this year was I need to go burying. I need to bury people. I need to go for burials. And the reason why I decided that, I realized that many times we hide in, I'll make a contribution, show up at the service, you know. Sometimes we go and get ourselves busy at the home and you don't go for burial. And yet that's the point when someone needs the greatest support. So this year, one of the things I discovered was that actually I had a lot of support. I had friends who could go with me to bury my brother when I lost my brother this year. And that was, it just affirmed my decision. Yeah. It affirmed my decision that, you know what, it's critical. It's important that you are available, that you are present for your friends, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it requires you hiring a car or having a car, fueling it, and being there for your friend. But that's the only way you can invest and be able to get that back as well. So be fully engaged. Yeah. Quality time other than quantity. So the social media has given us this false hope that we are always together. Yeah, it gives us this feeling like, the fact that we're in the same group and I see you comment, it means that, somehow I have seen you. Yeah, I have some friends who are here and I have never, absolutely, I've not seen them in the last 1, 2, how many years, but we talk every so often and you feel like you're together. But there's something about physical. There's something about the physical, touch, speaking to somebody, reading their mind. I have a friend of mine who tells me, Pamela, you're the one friend who reads my mind. Sometimes she can be, she will cry and then she will show up for a do, trying to put it all together. I'm like, you know what? I know you have been crying. Tell me, and I will not let them go. Sadly, if you're my friend, I will pry until you tell me what's going on. Why? Because I realize that many of us camouflage. Yeah? Many of us camouflage, and there is no need for us to camouflage. Yeah. So I see Jemima saying, is there such a thing as sharing too much? And how far far can honesty, or how much honesty can you let out? Wow, 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 wow. Now, if you're me, who is an open book, if you're my friend and I call you my friend, I will trust you with the detail of whatever it is I'm going through. So be wise. There should be a lot of wisdom. Find the right people. And that's why they say accountability partners are people who you have selected to walk the journey of life with, right? So I keep telling people that, you really need to find that one person. I have this one friend that I tell all the silly things, the way I feel, yeah? The way I'm feeling, the things that I'm going through. I like to have authentic relationships. But if you're not there yet, find at least one person. Find at least one person. So in love relationships, how much can you be able to share? Well, I will talk still from Pamela's perspective. If you're in a love relationship with somebody and you're not willing to share, what is that? I mean, if you're not free enough to share in a love relationship and be authentic, yeah? What is that relationship that you're having? Food for thought, yeah? Food for thought. But it all takes wisdom as well, yeah? So Rachel says, are my relationships meeting my emotional needs? A really good question for one to ask as they pursue fulfillment in life. We need to ask these questions time again to ensure we are intentional about the relationships we're building. Thank you, Rachel. Absolutely, absolutely right, yeah? Caroline says, talk more about investing in relationships. People, I think that let's come to a place where we are a bit selfish as well. When I'm investing in relationships, I know that it's an investment. It's going to have a return on investment, right? So as much and as far as you invest is as much as you will be able to get out. I'm one of those people who I can say, there's a time we were seated and we're saying, what are the 4 roles of a woman? To be a woman is a queen, she's a sister, which means a friend, she's a companion, and she is what's the last one, Rachel? She's a companion, she's a sister, she's a queen, and a nurturer. Yeah, and a nurturer. And I always came out as a person who's done the most in terms of investment with friends, with sisterhoods. I thrive in sisterhoods, literally. I'm one of those people who is perpetually planning something, organizing something. Let's go for a holiday. Let's go for a car trip. Let's do a beach. What are we going to wear? A lot of kajanja. If you know the organizer, that's me. And so I've come to realize that I thrive in those spaces, but also I give a lot in those spaces and it gives back to me. So like Sanyo says, reciprocation, really, you must at all times be able to give if you want to take out. And don't be that kind of user. One of the things I really hate in my life, by the way, I hate users. I hate someone who comes to me and I am so sure there's something they're up to, and after that they'll take off. I would like to have a deep relationship with whoever I call my friend, because I know that they have something to add to my life, one way or the other, right? So there must be mutual respect and trust. Ladies, if you want to harness meaningful relationships, let there be mutual respect and trust, yeah? I have this thing where I find people who don't check on you, but when they're going through a tough time, they are quick to tell you, Caleb, Pamela, do you know I went through this and you never, came through for me on this front? At some point in my life, I had to sit down and say, okay, who are the friends who, if they came, muttering and complaining that I have not been there for them, I really sincerely won't feel bad. Even if you came screaming on top of your head, I'll tell you, my dear friend, I'm just a phone call away. All you needed to do was call, or also let me know that you're going through a tough time, because I won't dream it. Communication is critical. But also, it's important for you to have these regular check-ins on the people that you care about. Don't have them in your head and let it stay there. I care about Anne Lydia, and then I will not check on her to see how she's doing, right? It's important for you to know, or even have, like, I have a day in the week where I sit down and make phone calls, especially to my friends, the ones I've had for a really long time, just to say, hi, how are you doing? Why? Because sometimes when we are here writing books, doing programs, finding purpose, we get absolutely engrossed, in the things of the world, and we do not remember that they are people. Yeah. So it's really important for you to invest. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't invest in relationships, it will not come back to you. Yeah. It will not come back to you. Yeah, Jemima, don't allow to be bent by the world. Don't allow to be bent by the world. I keep telling people I am super authentic and I like to keep my discussions deep. Some of my friends don't believe in that, but I tell my friends that, you know what, for me, I like to have deep conversations. If we can't have deep conversations, then we might not have a relationship. Yeah, I am not guarded as well, and that's just who I am. So you'll find that they're poor naturally guarded, and you need to ask yourself, what is it that you need to heal from? Sometimes you're actually dealing with some pain, one or the other. Rachel says, I'm waiting to hear about boundaries, even as I cultivate deep relationships. Banang, we have been hurt and wounded, and sometimes we do the hurting to others. I'm taking my notes. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. How far does personal trauma, especially as children, influence the way people respond to others? Can we extend grace? Absolutely. One of the things that I am learning to do is, I study my friends deeply and then get to know, okay, this is where she's coming from. So there are certain things that come out, things that come out just by relating to that person. And then you realize, you know what, this is what I'm dealing with. So last year I had an experience with a very good friend of mine. She's so dear to me. I mean, I just can't do life without her. And so she hurt me, and I thought to myself, you know what? This relationship is to be kept at all costs. At all costs, I will guard it, because guess what? I attribute a lot, I've given that relationship a lot of value. And we have gone past the pain and the hurt. But what does that mean? That we had deep connection, yeah? Deep connection to the point that we could actually let go of whatever the differences are. What are the connections that you actually have with these people? Yeah? What are the connections that you have built? I will just move on to there. Oops, did I jump? Yep. So, wow, okay. So I had jumped a slide. Let's talk about the inward. Oh no, sorry, I had done that. So overcoming some of those things that we are struggling with, overcoming the barriers to meaningful relationships. Some of us have got society anxiety and shyness. Yeah, society anxiety and shyness. We've been hurt. Our fingers have been burnt. My prayer is that you will find therapy. Ladies, therapy is not for the faint-hearted. Therapy is not for the faint-hearted. It's for the strong. It's for those who know that I need to live life to my full potential, and I'm going to go for it. Yeah. So find help, because for you to be, to have that anxiety of being among people, and also to have shyness, it is always something that you are dealing with, a trauma that you are struggling with. And therefore, you must heal. Yeah. Like I said, technology and social media have been our biggest hindrances. We have this, funny feeling like we have been together. Like now, I've seen many of my friends on the call. In my mind, it takes a mental note that, hey, okay, I have spent some time with my friends, but actually, I don't know what's going on in their lives. Yeah. And like Lydia said, we are good at camouflaging. We are excellent. We have learned the art. And for some of the tribes in Uganda, I don't know about Kenya, but some of the tribes in Uganda, they have been told to actually conceal and keep everything to themselves and not let it out. But, if a bottle is full, it definitely has got to find an outlet. The lid will pop. The lid will pop, and you will definitely manifest whatever it is you've been hiding in there. Yeah. When it comes to time management, I'm talking about, are you scheduling calls, or are you scheduling visits? We used to have this thing. I have one of my sisters, people that I grew up with. I've seen a number actually, but there's Shiba Rakasisi here. Shiba is from a family where we were them and they were us. There was no difference between the Rakasisis and the Babirukamos. We were one and the same people. And growing up, we would always hang out together. Our first things were done at their home. Some of the firsts were at our home. And we had so much, to talk about our past. But our children are not getting that. There's something that has happened to our generation. We don't have time to get our families to actually know each other, visit each other, for the children to know each other. Yeah. And so I realized something shifted. Something shifted. We don't prioritize friendships any longer. We don't have time for friends. As long as you say, how are you? Are you okay? And the person says, fine. You know, you're good to go. I like a t-shirt that a friend of mine developed recently. He says, how are you? I'm fine. I'm fine is no longer an answer. Yeah, because of the mental health challenges that we are struggling with. Yeah, let me just read a few of the comments in here. I'll get back to the boundaries later. I really struggle with my chat box. Jemima says, and all honesty matters, but I am, and all honesty matters, but I am told if you tell a man everything about you, he'll use it against you and even disrespect you. There's some things that are important. There's some things that are important. There are some things that are not important to talk about, but there are some things that are important. There is something about your childhood, your past, your family that your husband or your spouse has got to know. And I think that it's important that you owe it to them to share. But if it's used against you, you also need to be very wise, because when you are sharing, there's a lot that you share when you're in love, by the way, and that is later used against you when things have fallen apart. So are you going to be so guarded that you will not share because you're saving, you know, you're guarding your heart from the pain of the future? Yeah. I think that there are some things that you owe a good friend and you must be able to share. Yeah. I'll talk about traumas later. Oops. So this is my philosophy. This is my philosophy. That true fulfillment in life comes from the accumulation of wealth. It does not come from the accumulation or from the wealth or accolades, but from the depth and quality of relationships. Well, this is me. Yeah, this is me. And that's why I called it my philosophy. When we invest in genuine connections, we harness the power of love, trust, and mutual respect, creating a tapestry of support and joy that enriches every moment. Yeah. That said, I'd just like to tackle a little bit, touch a little bit on the season of your life that you are in. Yeah, if you are between 25 and 45, we call that the Johnny Work stage. Yeah, according to some gentleman called Charles Collins, who has, you know, different stages of life. The apprenticeship, which is the from a teenage life to 25, you're basically just amassing, you know, all the info, learning this, learning that. Between 25 and 45 is the journey work stage, where you are learning, you're having family, you're getting married, it's like a time where everything just goes haywire. You're balancing things. You want to do PhD, you want to have a family, you're a mother, you've got a marriage that you need to, you know, harness and, you know, take good care of. It's like everything goes haywire for you. If you do not have a support network, if you don't have a support system, you are in trouble. I've got a niece of mine who really amazes me. She's got a driver to pick kids from school. She's got a chef to cook good meals on Sunday. She's got a maid full-time. She's got one who does spring cleaning. She's got one who, you know, she's got a music teacher. The driver takes the kids for music, and after that, he takes them for football. And then she spends time with her kids on Sunday. Yeah. Why? Because she's really trying to juggle things. And the good thing is she can afford to pay all this, you know, all these people, so that she can be able to juggle everything. I must say, just staying with her for a little while, I realized she was a good mother, very extremely involved. You know, I was wondering, how do you, you know, have all these people doing these things and you're really getting some of your duties? But I realized that she's so well balanced. Ladies, let me tell you, and gentlemen, if you're within this stage where you're trying to do absolutely everything, you're not a superwoman, you're not a you're not a god. You must put systems in place to ensure, and that can only be done if you have satisfying relationships. What's the relationship you have with your maid? Yeah, One of the things I realized is my maid came to live with me when one of the things she lacks most was motherly love. She really, really desires to be loved. She's the kind of person, when I come back from work, she gives me a hug. When I'm going to sleep, she'll say good night and give me a hug. And I've learned, I used to be a bit static and say, isn't this a bit too much? But then I realized if we're going to live together and really have a satisfying relationship and grow this, yeah, I learned to reciprocate. Give her the hug without her asking for it. Stretch out and give her the hug when I come from work. I'm also blessed to get a hug anyway. You get it? So what are the things you need to get out of your way to do to harness these relationships? You're going to have to give up some of the things that you have been holding so dear to yourself. Yeah? I think we need to leave room for shock absorbance in relationship, my philosophy. Absolutely, Sanyu. I believe that. One of the things I keep telling people is that one of my coping mechanisms in relationships is that I've given every human being an ounce or a chance to be human. And to be human means to err, right? If you don't err, you are not human. So once in a while, someone is going to betray you. Once in a while, someone's going to make a comment that's going to hurt you. Has it ever occurred to you that your own mother actually does or speaks or makes comments that hurt you? So why do you think other people shouldn't? Yeah. So I'm learning that we must leave room for disappointment. That's part of relationship, or it's part of guarding your heart, right? And says otherwise the devil's biggest weapon against us these days is that we do not have time and that social media is convenient shortcut. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I have a friend of mine who challenges me. Every time she's in trouble and she's feeling low, she will call me, Pamela, why are you? Come now. I need you now. Or I'm in hospital. I'm not sure what news they're going to give me. I need you to be by my side. I'm not that kind of person. I've always been like, I kind of have it together. Not that I intend to, but I've been the strong one who people, kind of lean on. But then I realized, you know what? I need to start being vulnerable. So I have allowed to also call and say, Walala, come to my rescue. I need help. Yeah. Because I realized that I'm not superwoman. I realized that I'm also, I also need a lot of help and support. So, ladies, we cannot afford to be superwomen, and gentlemen, we need to work. We need to work on the relationships. Be ready to receive love and be ready to give love and to give time. We can't afford to be mean with our time and say, as long as I can pick my kids, drop my kids, spend time with my husband, blah, 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 and you're just talking around your family. You realize that there's a point where your husband will not be able to meet that need. It's the woman who's going to meet it, and vice versa. That's why boys need boys' time, and that's why girls need girls' time. It creates some sort of harmony within, yeah? So one of the things that was raised was boundaries. We can have emotional boundaries. We can have physical boundaries. We don't have to be assertive. So me, I'm one of those people who actually make an announcement, especially to my family members. Guys, I'm not going down this road again. If anybody does A, B, C, D, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm one of those who is, assertive. I'll speak out. Yeah. But there are some people who just simply do it quietly. Let me give you a scenario, setting boundaries. You're in office and your boss screams on top of their voice and you answer them, okay, madam. And then she screams again, then you say, I will do it, madam. What are you doing? You're actually setting a boundary because she will not shout for too long when she's getting such answers. Yeah. When you are calm, you're able to pull down all anger. Yeah. When you are calm, you're able to communicate well. That's one of the things I'm learning because I am, sometimes the opposite. I want to express myself in the most animated way possible. But I'm also learning that it's important to set boundaries that are emotional. Yeah. One of the running jokes we have, or stories that we tell when we're doing Talitha, is that if your husband comes late every day and you continue being angry with him year in, year out, you're the crazy one. He's not crazy. You know why? He has been consistent. He has not changed a thing. But you have got to get to a place where you say, okay, my husband will never come early. He enjoys time with his friends. And if I want him to be a well-balanced person, I need to give him space. So what am I going to do to make sure that I cope with his coming home late? Number one, have you bought a good flask? Have you cooked the food and put it in? Have you placed the table and set it properly? Have you put the juice and, you know, those things that women like to do, or that you're actually craving to do for him while he's there physically? Do everything and then go to your bed and sleep. And then make sure you let him know, you know, this is just, when you come, please feel free to serve yourself. I shall be sleeping because I have to wake up early to go to work tomorrow. You're not fighting anymore. You're not quarreling anymore. You're not throwing tantrums anymore. But what you're simply doing is you're setting a boundary by putting a system in place. Set boundaries in the best way you can. If your bosses are shouting type, now I'll tell you, for me, I used to be the kind of person who would actually, you know, put them in their place, assure them how, you know, I am not going to allow to go down the road. That's just who I am. But for the rest of you, you probably want to either communicate in the best way you can, or you would like to actually send them a proper, nicely, you know, done message saying, I'd appreciate if you spoke to me a little better because it destabilizes me and I don't know what to do after that. You really make it clear, but set your boundaries if you're going to have to live well. Yeah. Someone talked about childhood traumas, and I don't know whether I've given you a good snippet on the boundaries, Rachel. But someone talks about childhood traumas. Childhood traumas definitely play out in many ways. Yeah, in many ways. I know so many people who are so broken, and they just cannot. They're always hurting people because you know, people say there's that quote that hurting people hurt others. Yeah, so you must be able to deal with your you know, childhood traumas, especially childhood traumas, because they always play out in your decision making, in everything that you do. You need to work them out. I'll just tell you a little bit about therapy. Yeah, so this year I made up my mind and I said, you know what, I'm leading a number of women, many of whom need therapy, but we all have been, you know, conditioned to think that, you know, for you to go for therapy, you're really, you know, you're not doing well, and the stigma around therapy is really great. So to break that stigma, I decided to go for therapy this year. And when I started to go for therapy, I made noise about it to all the ladies that were, you know, cared to listen. Everywhere I went, I told them, guys, I'm doing therapy. And one of the reasons why I did was that I thought when I lead by example, Paul, generally jump in there. And yes, I have had like over 20 of my friends who have signed up for therapy, and they're feeling a lot better. I needed therapy. I remember one of the first classes that I did with Dr. Morugami last year is that I just cried in my first class, and I was like, where is all this coming from? We have a lot of, you know, unresolved things that we think we have dealt with, things that we think that we are coping, ways in which we think we are coping, but we're not coping well. And personally, I'm one person who, when I'm not coping well, I put my anger on God. It's like I get into, you know, a fight with God, and I tell him, you know, what is this whole thing? What do you mean? You know, why don't you make this, you know, this whole time count? You know, I have too many questions. I do a lot of drama before God. But do you have a coping mechanism, you as an individual, or are you failing to cope? And if you're failing to cope, can you enroll for therapy? It's really critical that we are ready. We should be able to jump in. I don't know how I'm doing on time. I can talk until the cows come home. Charlie, how am I doing on time? Joyce Niger is asking, what kind of therapy? So do you mean counseling? Okay, so there are different therapies. You can do coaching, yeah? You can also do counseling. So for me, I went for counseling. And I'm going to share the number. I don't know, Rachel, if you have Tina Ntulo's number. If anyone has Tina Ntulo's number, kindly do share. That's my therapist. And the reason why I share her number is because she has 20 years experience in psychosocial therapy. Yeah. And let me assure you, ladies, every woman, every man, as long as you have adulted, as long as you have been through, the changes of life, you definitely need therapy, or at least someone to listen to you, because we have formed positions, we have formed mindset, things that we are struggling with. We have belief systems that have been, have almost taken root and become solidified over the years. And those are the things that are playing out in our minds and giving us, a hard time. We are not coping well with life. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a call out there. Please do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and look for a therapist. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel, for that. Malachite Center, absolutely. Do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and sign up for therapy. We all need it if we are not coping well. And not coping well is in different magnitudes. There are those who are deeply and chronically depressed, and some of it is actually medical. Some of it is, it's hereditary. But it's important for you to know that at this time, actually, you know what, I'm not coping. I need help. And let me tell you, if you don't initiate it, you are not going to, you'll not find help. No one is going to come looking for you and say, come for counseling. You need to go out for it. So in your times of reflection, while we are doing crafting your own power, we get to sit down and assess ourselves. How am I doing emotionally? Am I coping well? One of the things we deal with is childhood traumas. We dig deep and say, what are those things that are playing out that are making me feel really, that are failing me in terms of decision making? What are those things that I need to deal with? So ladies and gentlemen, my cry to you is, do not sit there and simply, camouflage, put lipstick and whatever it is to cover up. Let's dig deep into our hearts and make sure that we declutter. One of the things I want to talk about before I close is forgiveness. In Evolving Woman, one of the things we always say is be a selfish forgiver. And if there's any takeaway we always give the ladies when we are dealing with pain, is be a selfish forgiver. Forgive for yourself. And I always make an announcement. I have forgiven all of you, like Jesus did, past, present, and future. Why? Because I am choosing me. I'm choosing me. I want to travel light. I want to make sure that I live life to my full potential. I don't want anybody to have the power to hold me back. And when we talk about crafting your own power, we're talking about giving away your power, even in terms of emotions. What have you given? I'll tell you a quick story. I met a lady who had been married for 40 years. And for 40 years, her husband had cheated on her. For 40 years. And she was definitely 60. She had developed alopecia. And so, I was talking to her and I said, so why are you developing alopecia? And she said, I'm so stressed. And I asked her, what are you stressed about? She says, you know what? This guy has cheated on me all my marriage life. I don't know how I can be able to cope with this. And I said, you know what? Do you know that the guy has been consistent? Yeah. And you guys, it's good for you to take people for what they show you. He has been consistent. He has never changed. And you are still angry for 40 years. When do you finally agree this is who he is? How can I live with him given the circumstances? And that's the point where you decide, can I live with him? Do I want to live with him? If I want to live with him, how can I cope? How can I make sure that I am actually enjoying my marriage, regardless of whether there's a change or not? It's like Jesus in the storm, sleeping in the storm. So being a selfish forgiver means that you choose yourself. You choose yourself and say, I, Pamela, I am going to make sure that my path is straight and I need to travel light. I don't know whether any of you knows that, the real implication of, holding someone ransom and not forgiving somebody. And when they show up, your heart misses a beat. I don't know if any of you has experienced that. Yeah. But I've had my heart miss a beat. I have also had panic attacks before because I met somebody I was angry with. And I just learned that, all that is giving away my power. All that is giving away my power that I need to take back and be able to use it for something meaningful. So be a selfish forgiver. I don't know if there are any more questions. I would end with this quote. Life is beautiful and short. You have limited time on this planet. Be special, feel special, build relationships, and leave great footprints for others. So you cannot be special without feeling special and without building relationships that are meaningful. And you can also not feel special if you're not impacting other people. So if you're not impacting other people, you will not live a meaningful life. So it's all, you need to work on all this to be able to enjoy this. So ladies, Sarah Segane says being a selfish forgiver is similar to being a selfish peacemaker. Absolutely. Yeah, you make sure you make peace because you don't want to carry the burden. Yeah. So I would like to, I don't know if there are any more questions. I've dealt with some of the things in the chat section, but I would like to leave you one thing. What will I stop doing? And those are the questions you're going to ask yourself. What will I stop doing? What will I stop doing in terms of relationships, in terms of not coping well with life? What are you going to unlearn? Yeah. What will I start doing? What are the things you're going to learn? Invest in those things. If it is coping mechanisms, some of the things we teach in Crafting Your Own Power is actually coping mechanisms. We give you a whole chapter of how to cope with stress. Because as you come up with all these beautiful goals, you need to know how to cope with stress. Are you decluttering your mind? We teach you about brain dumping, teach you about cultivating happiness. We teach you about total surrender to God. There are some things that you cannot carry any longer. They're just simply too much for you to carry. Yeah. What are you going to start doing? What will you continue doing? What are the things that you need to add a few more sticks of fire to do well? Maybe you already are very, you're a person that is able to express themselves and communicate well. What are you going to continue doing? Yeah. And then what am I most grateful for? So these are questions that I learned while I was doing the BMC with Dr. Pat. And I continue to ask myself these questions all the time. Are you the kind of person who is grateful? Are you grateful? Do you have things to be grateful for? Do you have a gratitude list? So one of the things we do is while we're doing Crafting Your Own Power is every day you must have 3 things that you are grateful to God for. 3, only 3. And that should be able to show you how good life is, even when your mind is really concentrating on that one area that's not going well. Thank you very much. I hope that it was a good discussion. I would be happy to hear from you if you have any further questions. Otherwise, over to you, Shali. Over to you, Shali.
Wow. Coach Pamela, that has been very, very impactful. Very impactful. Now, team, if you think today has been good, just imagine what will happen when you sign up and spend the 6 weeks adding value to yourself, knowing more, understanding the 8 spheres of your life and working on them. And at the end of the course, coming out with a vision board so that you can be able to work towards achieving. By the way, you don't only end there. You again, you will be followed up. You will have quarterly meetings to discuss where you are, and you'll be people will be sharing. The term Pamela uses is kuna mchezo. So definitely you become better. Extremely grateful for the opportunity to moderate this session today. My name is Shali Jera. Like I told you at the beginning, I serve with Kilimo Trust. I'm a natural practitioner and an East African of Ugandan origin. Be blessed. Let's see you again tomorrow for yet another very impactful session. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed the messages in the chat section. Thank you, ladies. See you tomorrow. God bless you.